Hi everyone, I welcome you all in the next video lecture on topic number system. So if you try to recall, in last video I have discussed two problems based on LCM and HCF. So one was based on the property, in fact both of them based on the same property. The product of two numbers is always equals to the product of LCM and HCF. So we saw two important questions, and today I'm going to discuss one more questions on the same line. It's again based on LCM or HCF, so it's something which we have to determine first. So let's read the problem. Starting at 10 a.m., two buses leave for city A and B at an interval of 15 and 25 minutes respectively. At what time after 10 a.m. will the buses for the two cities depart at the same time? So let me first tell you what the situation is like. So if you look at the situation carefully, there are two cities for which the buses depart. So there is city A and we have one another city B. And the buses for the two cities departs at an interval of 15 minutes and 25 minutes. So if I ask you, when was the first time the buses for the two cities depart at the same time, you would say, sir, starting at 10 a.m. So it's understood कि 10 बजे इन दोनों cities के लिए जो बस निकली होंगी वो same time पे निकली होंगी. If this is the case, can you tell me कि दोबारा से अगर मैं पूछूंगा कि इन दो cities के लिए बस कब कब निकलेंगी after 10 a.m. you will say, sir, bus for city A will leave at 10:15 because for city A a bus leaves after an interval of 15 minutes, while for city B the bus will leave at 10:25 because the interval for B is 25 minutes. What about the second bus? So if I just maintain this table, you would say this is going to be 10:30 and then the next bus will leave at 10:45 and this will be the time of next bus and so on. What I can do is I can maintain a table where I've shown you the time at which the bus for city A will leave. But for city B, the situation is a little different. The time interval is not 15 but 25. It means the next bus for city B must leave at 10:50. So if you add 25 again, this is going to be 11:15 and then 11:40 and so on. So if you just compare the two lists, you would realize that the time after 10 a.m. when the buses for the two cities depart at the same time is actually this. This is for the first time after 10 a.m. the buses for the two cities are leaving for the same time. तो हम ये बोलेंगे कि 11:15 पे दोनों cities के लिए buses same time के लिए क्या करेंगी, depart करेंगी. So I hope you are able to understand this. Now the way I have solved this question, this is not the elegant way of solving it. This is the conventional way, the traditional approach. But if you try to understand what we are actually trying to find out here, we are trying to find out a common number which is divisible by 15 and 25 completely. And divide होने वाले numbers को हम multiple बोलते हैं, isn't it? Divide होने वाले numbers को हम लोग multiple बोलते हैं और ये multiple कैसा होना चाहिए? ये multiple common होना चाहिए, a common time. और क्या होना चाहिए? I'm looking for a time after 10 a.m. So for the first time after 10 a.m. when will this happen? So I'm looking for least common multiple, smallest common multiple. 10 बजे के बाद सबसे पहली बार ऐसा कब होगा that the buses for the two cities depart at the same time? So instead of doing this, had I just calculated LCM of the time intervals 15 and 25, so let's find out LCM. So to find LCM, what I'll do, I'll pick the largest value of the given set. The largest value of the given set is 25. Now I need to check क्या 25 is given set का LCM है. Now for that you have to check क्या ये 25 15 से completely divisible है. The answer is no. If largest value is not the answer, I'll look for next multiples of 25. So 25 into 2 is 50. But again problem is 50 is not divisible with 15. The next multiple of 25 happens to be 75. Now if you check 75, 75 is a multiple of 25 which is also divisible with 15. It means the LCM of these two numbers must be 75. And since 15 and 25 were time units, the unit was in terms of minutes, तो मेरे पास यहाँ पे जो आंसर भी आया है वो सेम फॉर्म में आया होगा. It is 75 minutes. So what we are saying is कि अगर दो सिटीज के लिए बस 15 एंड 25 मिनट्स पे निकलती हैं, तो जो कॉमन टाइम है जब दोनों सिटीज के लिए फिर से ये बस निकलेंगी, so this will happen in every 75 minutes. But since they have asked us at what time after 10 a.m., so I need to add this duration, that after 75 minutes. So just add 75 minutes and 10 a.m. and you'll be able to get your answer. Now what you can do is, I can write 75 minutes as 60 minutes plus 15 minutes. 60 minutes is same as writing 1 hour, and let's leave 15 minutes as it is. So if you add 1 hour in 10 a.m., the time will change to 11, and then I'm left with remaining 15. So what is going to be the final time? You would say, so the final time is going to be 11:15 a.m. It means at this time, the buses for the two cities will depart at the same time after 10 a.m. So हर 75 minutes की duration में this will happen. So let's say suppose they had asked you कि अच्छा ये बताओ कि 12 बजे के बाद ये कब होगा. So what you could have done is, you could have again added the same time duration in 11:15. So if you add 75, see, 75 means 60 plus 15. So if you add 60 minutes out of 70, the time will change to 12:15, isn't it? And in 12:15 you have to see, from 75 we have just considered 60. 15 minutes is still remaining, so add 15 more minutes, so the time will change to 12:30. So if somebody asks you when will this happen for the second time after 10 a.m., after 10 a.m. when will this happen for the first time, you would say 11:15. When will this happen for the second time, you would say the time is going to be 12:30. So whatever the question they ask you, you'll be able to calculate it very easily. But first you need to understand that this question is based on the application of LCM. So I think you have understood the solution. If you have any doubts, please write on your doubts in the comment box. Let's do one thing. We'll solve one more question and then we'll end the lecture for today. See this question now. Find the largest value that will be able to measure 150, 240 and 300 centimeter. Now before you answer this question, you need to identify whether this question is based on the application of LCM or HCF. And to do the same, you need to read some important key terms. Terms like largest, able to measure. So it means I'm trying to find out a highest value that will be able to measure, or I could say that will be able to divide the three numbers completely. And please try to recall, divide करने वाले numbers को हम लोग factors बोलते हैं. It means इस क्वेश्चन में मैं हाईएस्ट कॉमन फैक्टर कैलकुलेट करना चाहता हूं. सो यू कैन थिंक ऑफ दिस सिचुएशन एज कि क्लॉथ मर्चेंट है जिसके पास ये तीन तरीके के कस्टमर्स आते हैं, बस यही तीन तरीके के, C1, C2 एंड C3. C1, C2 and C3. These are the name of three customers who ask for these three types of cloth: 150 centimeter, 240 centimeter and 300 centimeter. Now to do this task, the cloth merchant need a scale. Now the viable solution for this would be, see, he will not buy three different scales, one of 150 centimeter, second scale of 240 and third scale of 300 centimeter. No, this is not the logical solution to his problem. In fact, he will find the value of scale which will be able to measure 150, 240 and 300, all three of them. So we are trying to find out a value of scale which can measure the three different lengths. I hope I'm making some sense here. It means to answer the question, all I need to do is I have to calculate highest common factor of these three numbers. In order to calculate highest common factor, one optimization which you can do is, if you look at all the numbers, see the last digit of each and every number. what would you realize? That each one of them has 0 as the last digit. So what I can do, I can omit 0. So one thing which I can be very sure about कि मेरा SCF का जो भी आंसर आएगा it will end with 0. तो मैंने 0 पहले ही लिख दिया है. And now I'm just left with these three values 15, 24 and 30. So now I'll calculate highest common factor for these three numbers. And any given day, calculating highest common factor for this given set is much easier than calculating SCF for the previous set. Now, how to calculate SCF? You would say, sir, the property of SCF says the answer of SCF will either be the smallest value. The smallest value is 15. So if I want to say 15 is the answer of highest common factor, 15 should divide the other two numbers. Can 15 divide 13 completely? The answer is yes. But the problem is 15 cannot divide 24 completely, and therefore this cannot be the answer of SCF. If 15 is not the answer, then I look for a factor of 15, but obviously it's going to be less than 15. So if I go in descending order, so the first number which you'll find is 5. Now 5 can divide 30, but it cannot divide 24. So 5 also cannot be the answer. If it is not 5, then I'll go to the next immediate factor. It's 3. Now 3 can divide 24 as well as 30, and therefore the highest common factor for this given set is going to be 3. And you'll just write 3 here. But as you know, the answer of your question will end with 0. So you would say the complete answer for this particular question is going to be 30. So what we are trying to say, 30 centimeter is the value of scale which can measure the three different lengths completely. Although I have to use this scale multiple times, what I'm trying to tell you, अगर मुझे 150 सेंटीमीटर को measure करना है using 30 centimeter scale, so I need to use it 5 times. But the good part is कि अगर मैं स्केल को 5 बार यूज करता हूं तो मैं इस लेंथ को कंप्लीटली मेजर कर पाऊंगा. नॉट ओनली दिस, इफ यू ट्राई टू मेजर 240 using the same scale, although you need to use it 8 times, but you will be able to measure it. Same goes for 300. You would be able to measure 300 using 30 completely, so you need to use it 10 times, right? So the answer to this question is going to be 30. So 30 is the largest value of scale which the cloth merchant can have in order to measure these three different lengths. Now, alternatively, they could have asked you one question, and that's why I have shared this explanation with you. Now, in the same question, they could have asked you how many times the cloth merchant has to use the scale to measure these three different lengths. He would say कि 150 को measure करने के लिए he needs to use scale 5 times. 240 centimeter measure करने के लिए he has to use it for 8 times. And then to measure 300 centimeter, he needs to use scale 10 times. So total number of times to measure the three different cloths is going to be 23. In that scenario, the answer to your question would have been 23 times. So had they asked you how many times the cloth merchant has to use this scale in order to measure these three different lengths, 150, 240 and 300, the answer to your question would have been 23. But since they have just asked you, find the largest value of scale which will be able to measure these three different lengths, you will just stick to 30 centimeters. So whichever option says 30 centimeter, you would mark it and move forward. So I hope you were able to understand the explanation of two problems. If you have any problem in understanding of any part of the learning, what you can do, you can just write down your queries in the comment box. I try to answer them as quickly as I can. So this is all from my end for today. Thank you and have a nice day.